The first scream didn't come from her mouth. It came from the wind high above the school courtyard, where flags snapped lazily and students laughed at nothing important. The air itself seemed to panic. It rushed upward, clawing at the edge of the rooftop as if trying to pull her back. She stood there barefoot, hands cuffed behind her back, school uniform torn at the sleeve, white fabric stained with dust and a thin line of blood that had already dried. Her hair clung to her face, stuck with sweat and fear, but her eyes were calm in a way that made people uncomfortable. That was the part they hated most. "Say sorry," one of the boys said, breathless, voice cracking between power and fear. She didn't answer, not because she couldn't, because she wouldn't. The roof was 7 stories high. From here, the people below looked like toys. Ants moving in patterns that didn't matter. The bell rang somewhere inside the building, cheerful and cruel, announcing the end of lunch break. Normal life right beneath a moment that would never be normal again. They had dragged her up the stairs laughing. Calling it a joke. Calling it a lesson. Calling it just messing around. Phones out, recording, fingers shaking with excitement. Bullies always shook right before they did something irreversible. She was the quiet girl, the one who sat near the window. The one teachers forgot to call on. The one whose name was mispronounced so often she stopped correcting people. The one who never fought back when they hid her bag, tripped her in the hallway, whispered things just loud enough for her to hear. Silence made her an easy target. That's what they believed. They didn't know silence can be a decision. The cuffs clicked tight around her wrists earlier that day in the chemistry lab storage room. Someone had brought them as a joke. Fake cops. Fake criminals. Real metal. Real lock. Real fear. When the key slipped down a drain, she hadn't cried then either. Even when they realized the cuffs weren't coming off, even when the joke turned into something darker, they pushed her closer to the edge now. Concrete crumbling under her heels. Wind tugging at her skirt like impatient fingers. "Last chance," another boy said. His smile didn't reach his eyes. It never had. She looked at each of them slowly, point one by one. She memorized their faces, not with hatred, with clarity. "Do it," she said softly. The words were barely audible, but they landed like a slap. "What? You want to be powerful?" Her voice didn't shake. "Then do it." That was the moment something broke in them. Bullies need fear like fire needs oxygen. When she denied them that, all that power turned into rage. They shoved for half a second. The world stopped. No dramatic music. No slow motion. Just the sudden absence of ground beneath her feet. She fell. The phones kept recording. The boy screamed and the wind finally got its scream back. As her body dropped, memories rushed in, not her life flashing before her eyes, but fragments. Her mother tying her shoelaces. A teacher once telling her she was too quiet to lead. A mirror reflection where she barely recognized herself. Then something else. A calm, steady thought. So this is how they think heroes fall. Below, the courtyard erupted. Students froze. Someone dropped a tray. Someone else fainted. A teacher looked up too late. 7 stories is a long time to think, but not long enough to regret. Her body rotated once in the air, skirt fluttering, cuffs glinting in the sun. To anyone watching, it looked like chaos. It wasn't. Her knees bent, her core tightened, her chin tucked. Years earlier, before the silence, before the bullying, before the transfer to this school, there had been a different life. Early mornings. Bruised palms. A man with a whistle and a voice that didn't tolerate excuses. "Your body is a tool," he used to say. "Fear is just bad programming." She hit the awning first, not by accident. The metal canopy over the bike racks buckled, absorbing the initial force. Screams turned into gasps as her body rolled, momentum redirected, not stopped, guided. Then the second impact. A delivery truck's canvas roof collapsed inward as she crashed down, fabric tearing, metal groaning. The sound was thunderous, violent, impossible, and then silence for one heartbeat. Then she moved. A hand twitched. A leg bent. Someone screamed her name. She fell out of the truck onto the pavement, coughing, gasping, alive, very alive. The cuff scraped against the ground as she rolled onto her side. Blood trickled from her forehead, but her eyes were open. Focused. Furious, not with rage, but with purpose. Teachers ran. Students cried. Phones dropped now, forgotten above, on the rooftop. The boys stared over the edge. One of them vomited, another collapsed to his knees. "That's not possible." Someone whispered, "Heroes don't need parachutes, they need preparation." An ambulance arrived within minutes. Sirens cut through the shock. Paramedics swarmed her, shouting vitals, stabilizing her neck, lifting her onto a stretcher. As they wheeled her away, she turned her head slightly, looked up, locked eyes with the silhouettes above, and smiled. Just a little, not a victory smile. A promise. Hospitals have a way of making people honest. Under fluorescent lights, lies fall apart. CCTV footage surfaced. Student videos leaked. The cuffs were identified as real police-grade restraint stolen from a parent's car. Charges stacked up fast. Attempted murder doesn't sound like a joke in court. The boys cried then. They said they didn't mean it. They said it went too far. They said she should have screamed. She did, just not the way they expected. Weeks later, she returned to school, brace on her ribs. Stitches above her eyebrow. Hands free, the hallway went silent as she walked through it. No one laughed. No one whispered. Some stepped aside, some looked down. She took her old seat by the window. Same desk, different world. A teacher hesitated before calling her name. She looked up. Yes, she said, clear, strong, present, and for the first time, the room listened, because they had all learned something the hard way. Heroes don't always fly. Sometimes they fall and survive.